The video for April the 19th, 2017 is entitled "The Solution of the Bureaucrats." My son's band, Orangatanga, performs one of their few non-original songs in most of their concerts I have attended. And my son plays the bass, not the drums, in that one. It's entitled "Kill the Poor," and it was written and first performed by a group that called itself the Dead Kennedys. One verse goes like this, quote, "The sun beams down on a brand new day, no more welfare tax to pay. Unsightly slums gone up in flashing light, jobless millions whisked away. At last we have more room to play. All systems go to kill the poor tonight," end quote. This is, unfortunately, the attitude of the so-called elite establishment. They are devoid of empathy, completely lacking in the ability to love or even see the bigger picture. Aristo says it is an attitude that infects all of us. Are we really that insensitive, or have we been programmed by a lesser God? I think the answer is a resounding yes. Indeed, bureaucrats are people that don't work for a living. They're people that interfere in the lives of others and plan the lives of others and how they can pull out whatever value can be pulled out of the others and then eliminate them because they have no useful purpose. They are useless eaters according to the elite establishment. That's most of us, folks. Doesn't matter which country we are in. We are viewed by this sick, demented portion of our society, which makes up less than 1%, probably less than 1/10 of 1% of our total population. And these are the people that claim to have the right to rule, the right not just to rule, but to dominate everyone else. And it's a sick mentality. And I do believe we have been programmed by this demonic element, and Aristo sees it differently than I do. I do believe they are demonic. And many of them seem to be humans, but they lack humanity. They lack the basic essentials of what it means to be human, which is empathy is one of the most important qualities of a human being. If we lack empathy, we cannot possibly do well by anybody else, and we can't even know ourselves, let alone love ourselves, which makes it impossible for us to be empathic. Makes it impossible for us to understand or to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. I can't possibly put myself in their shoes. What useful purpose do they possibly think that they serve? They don't serve, period. They don't serve. Serving and ruling are opposites, and they want to rule, not serve. They believe everybody else exists to serve them. This is part of the insanity of the world in which we live. And I know people get upset at me and frustrated at me when I say the responsibility lies with God. It does lie with God, folks. God is the creator of this whole scenario. And if he didn't create it, he's allowed it to come into being. And when I say he, to me, God is he and she. God is genderless. God is beyond gender, beyond opposites. God is the unifying force of everything. And yet that loving God that I thought I knew my whole life doesn't seem to care. He seems to be almost in league sometimes with those that lack empathy, which means that that God would also be lacking in empathy, and therefore God is love would be a lie. But I don't believe it's a lie. I still believe, despite all the contradictory evidence of my own experience and my own observation, I still cannot conceive of being alive with there being no creator, with there being no one responsible. And people say, well, Ron, you're responsible. Yes, I'm responsible for how I conduct my own life. I'm not responsible for how anybody conducts their life, and I'm not responsible for the crimes that this elite establishment commits against humanity and against life itself. I'm not responsible for that. I even if I've played a role in that in past lives, in this lifetime, I have not played that role. And the whole idea of living lives over and over and over again and never being able to come into a life of fulfillment, it doesn't resonate in my mind. It doesn't make sense to me how such a thing has any valuable purpose. I mean, the only thing I can rationalize out of the whole thing is that we can look back and see what it's like to forget who we are. But we've been the forgetting has been programmed in us. It's not something that we did by choice. It's something that was programmed. Much of the Bible, let us make man in our image and let us give him dominion. It's a manipulation. Creation is almost a manipulation of reality. To create a reality of opposites is, I don't know, it seems insane. I can't get it together in my mind to make sense out of it, for it to be at all seen as something that is worthwhile and good. Anyway, folks, I struggle with this still. I struggle wanting to find a way to create a world that all of my brothers and sisters can have at least the opportunity and the knowledge to realize that there are alternatives that are positive. It doesn't have to be a dog-eat-dog world. It doesn't have to be lacking of symbiosis, lacking of compassion. It doesn't have to be that way. We can, even the Native Americans, when they would kill an animal, there would be reverence involved, not a total lack of empathy as has come about in our culture, where people can kill other beings without empathy. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm an idealist, and I want there to be real solutions in my actual lifetime where I can see things moving in a direction that is positive and restorative to how I believe we were created in the beginning, and that is created by love, not by some demonic element to use for its own purposes, but an actual loving creator who cared about creation and gave us, who are part of that creation, gave us the choice to experiment, obviously, but we've reached a very bad conclusion that crime pays, and it doesn't, and it shouldn't. And I'd like remedy and justice for all of us. And those that don't want to love one another, let them either be blotted out forever or go somewhere in their own self-imposed prison of their narrow mentality. Anyway, thank you folks for listening, and I trust that something that I've said here resonates and makes sense to you. Namaste.